Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Ray Spencer. I'm the homicide lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I'm out here this evening to brief you on a homicide investigation that we are conducting in the 9300 block of Gilcrease Avenue, which is near the intersection of Osa Blanca and Sky Canyon in the far northwest part of the valley. The details that I have right now are very preliminary, but at around 7 p.m. this evening, Metro Police responded on report of a male who had been shot. Medical personnel and officers arrived and pronounced that male, who was a white male in his late 20s, deceased. The details that we have is that there were several individuals, 4 people, who were inside of an apartment directly behind me. At some point, the 4 were hanging out socializing this evening, and one of the males had picked up a handgun and started playing with the handgun. While he was playing with the handgun went off and shot the victim. At that point, we received 2 911 calls, one from the person who fired the shot and another from another person inside the apartment reporting that the shooting had occurred. At this point, we are interviewing all the parties involved, and it is still very early on in the investigation. So with that, I'll take a couple questions, but again, very early on at this point.
How many shots went off when he was playing with the gun, and how many struck the victim?
So right now, we believe it was 1 fired and 1 struck him. So that's at this point. But again, we're still in the process of obtaining a search warrant to validate some of the details that have been provided to us in the early part of the investigation. Once we have the search warrant obtained, we'll be able to answer that specifically.
Is the person that fired the gun facing charges at all?
Right now, it's still too early on in the investigation to answer that. So it's, again, a lot of moving parts at this point and people to interview.
Do you have the approximate age of the person who fired the shot?
Yeah, everybody involved is a white male in their late 20s.
What would be your message to people who are maybe a little concerned about this? This is a pretty quiet area. Things like this don't really happen in this area too often.
Well, my main message right now is anybody who is holding a firearm needs to treat that firearm like it is loaded. It is the first rule of any firearm safety. One of the rules of firearm safety is any gun that you are holding is potentially a loaded weapon. So especially when you're playing with a handgun in a setting like this is a tragic outcome to a situation that is completely avoidable.
And do you know the type of gun that was used?
We believe it's a handgun.
And did they all live in this apartment, or do we know?
A couple people lived in the apartment. We believe there was a couple people that were visiting. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.